Right guys, welcome back to another video, and today I said on my basketball channel that I was making a video on why I love the sports that I talk about currently, which if you don't know is basketball and football. And this is the main reason why I wanted to make these videos, to discuss my love for each one and explain how I got into each one. So if you want to see the video on my basketball experience and how I got into that when I was a little kid, it's a great video, and I feel like I can speak a lot more openly and talk about how I got into the sports more and explain my reasoning in a lot more talkative way, kind of like a little podcast, if you will. Now, the main thing about sports for me, which I love, is the competitiveness and the competitive spirit which you have while playing sports, right? And we all have it, where we all play sports and we all want to win. Now I'm just going to take you back to my youth when I was, how old was I? Age. I was 8 years old when I first saw a Leicester City match, and it was not a good one. Let me just say that. I've actually got the game up on the screen here. It wasn't a good one. We actually lost 3-0 to Millwall on the 22nd of October 2011. It wasn't a good one. The attendance was 21,000 in the King Power, and it was in the Championship. And I remember that game. I was thinking, I said to my stepdad, this football game's well bad, isn't it? We're losing every time. And that's what it did feel like at the time. We weren't the greatest team ever. And I'm looking at the lineups right now. Kasper Schmeichel was still playing in 2011. Sol Bamba, Paul Konchesky, Sean St. Ledger Hall. He was like my favourite player back then, you know, because he was Irish, my family's Irish. I loved him so much, even on the old FIFA. When Leicester was in that, I used to always try and score goals with him and stuff, and that was like my favourite part. David Nugent, Andy King, some of the Leicester legends were on that team, and we lost 3-0. And that was the first time I've ever been to a football game, was when I was 8 years old. And that was one of the funnest times of my life. I can still remember coming out the ground and being very disappointed with what we did. And in those times when we're in the Championship, the games were a lot cheaper to go to. So when you're in the Championship, League One, you could afford to go to games a lot easier than you can, for example, now. When we got into the Premier League, games became a lot more expensive. And for my family, it wasn't like something which you could just spend money on, like however much a ticket was to go to a game. So I ended up having to go to, but I ended up going to games like the FA Cup games or the like League Cup games, mainly because they were a lot cheaper and you could get them good seats. Yeah, a good time. I've been to amazing teams over the years. I've been to Chelsea, I've been to Man City's teams, Aston Villa, Brighton most recently, like 2 seasons ago, where we won on penalties. That wasn't 2 seasons ago, was it? That was like last season or something ridiculous. I've only ever been to one Premier League game, I think, because of how expensive they were, which was the Burnley game, where we actually drew 3-3, I think it was, last season. That was the first time I've ever been to a Premier League game. And as a Leicester fan, that's mad. Like, that's the first time I've ever been to a Premier League game, was when I was like 17 years old. I've been to a Champions League game before, a Leicester one. That was a good time, I enjoyed that. I've been to a Champions League game, a Europa League game, and a Premier League game. And I love football, and I love watching football, and Leicester's obviously my favourite team. It's never going to change. But I did also get to see Yaya Toure play, and I'm bringing it back. I'm changing like so much of like the timeline and stuff, and I do apologise, but when I saw that Man City game, I can't even remember what the score was, but I remember watching Yaya Toure play, and I was mesmerised by watching this guy play. He's my favourite player of all time, if you don't know. I loved him so much. And he was one of my favourite people to watch. And you know, football has changed drastically over that 22nd of October 2011 game, where in the Championship, I don't even know where we finished that season, which is crazy. In the Championship, it wasn't a good time. And then people ask me, when did I start playing football? Now, when I was a kid, I never really enjoyed playing football. I was always kind of a guy that I wasn't that athletic, I was quite chubby, to be honest. I did play basketball, but that was my sport, which I loved from like the age of 4, which if you haven't seen that video, It's a great video, go and watch it. But I started playing football when I was like 12 years old when I got into high school. I started playing for a team, which was my local team at the time, a Sunday league team, because they needed a left back. I'd never played football, like, I'd played football obviously, like in the playground and stuff, but like when I'd ever been played for an organised team, that was when I was 12 years old. And that's when I started playing for a Sunday league team. We weren't great, but we weren't bad. When I joined the team, I don't think we came lower than third, and I was there for about 6 years until I tore my ACL last season. That's when the kind of club disbanded because people going to university, people working and stuff, it kind of changed. So the club we broke the team off. But it was a great team and it was kind of like a family, which is what I loved about that. I was always a quiet kid playing football, so I wasn't that good at talking. But I have great memories of playing football. Some of the best moments was when I headed a goal against the best team in my county to like level up a game, and then it nearly went to penalties. We ended up losing the game. But that feeling, that excitement of scoring, because I didn't score that many. I played left back and then I moved to CDM. It was exciting to score goals and stuff. I scored 3 kicks before. Some of the best times of my life, scoring goals, defending, playing the way that I wanted to, you know, having a good time. And I played every Sunday, every Wednesday, just playing as much football as I could. And if you saw my video where I explained how I tore my ACL, you might understand how life-changing that has been to me in the past 9 months. Now obviously I knew that after this year I wouldn't be able to play football for the same team again. That might be hard, going to a new team and stuff, playing like adult football. But when I actually get back to playing football, I will be probably about 21 years old. No, I'll probably be about 20 years old. And the last time I played football was when I was 17 years old. Which is kind of scary, you know? How an injury can do that to you. But football was kind of how I expressed myself a lot of times. If I was having a bad day, I'd play angry and try and get under people's skin. If I was having a good day, I'd have a good time with people. Play as well as I could. I loved playing football. And that's kind of my memories, is going to football, watching football, playing FPL, Fantasy Premier League if you don't know. Just watching football and understanding how to play better and get the better of people, and winning leagues and stuff, and Sunday League and stuff, and winning tournaments and stuff that we went to. I was never the best footballer. I was probably one of the worst on my team, to be fair. But that's why it was so cool. It was like a family. You never had to worry about you getting kicked out of the team because you're not good enough. You'd always have a place. And that's kind of like what it was for me. It was a family where I could be myself. Even though I was a quiet kid, I could still feel like I was a part of something, you know? And for a lot of people, they don't have that. And that's why I think football is so important in the community, is for people who feel like they're quite alone a lot of the time. And they can have that family away from their actual family, if you know what I mean. And that's one of the most important things to me, is that I got that experience of being in a team for about 6 years. And even though I wasn't there for as long as some people were, since they were like 8-10 years old, I was there for a long time. And I always give it my best. And, you know, football was kind of like a way to express myself from like hard times that people might have and you might have. So that's why it's so important to me. And it's so important to other people because, like, for example, my team, Leicester City, they've done a lot for the community, and I've never even got to really experience what it's like playing for Leicester City. I've got to go to a stadium tour once, and that's it. That's as close as I've ever got to playing for Leicester City. But I love watching football, and I love my club and what they do for the community. And in England, the community that we have for football is amazing, and people might say it's horrible, there's horrible people. There's horrible people in every community, and I think that the football community has done a lot for the building up of cities. For example, Leicester, if you come to Leicester, you'll see all the murals and stuff of when we won the league, when we won the FA Cup. There's amazing art that's been done about it. and just the amount of tourism that is given to Leicester and the notoriety that people now know about Leicester because of that league title is amazing. And like cities get built off this. Cities get built off football clubs and like redeveloped and get the funding that they need. For example, the Leicester owner donated loads of money to the Hospital of Leicester to get new equipment and stuff for the NHS and stuff, which is needed. And I think the football community has done a lot for this country, and sometimes it doesn't get the recognition it deserves. It gets a lot of the hate, and it gets a lot of the bad rap a lot of times, when obviously bad things do happen in football, but a lot of good has come out of football, and it's made me as a person feel like I have something, and I've got a community, and I've got somewhere where I can be with people that like the same thing as me, you know. And that's where it kind of stems with my love of football. And I just wanted to say that is the end of the video, guys. It's kind of like a ranty video where I just talk, a bit like a podcast. Although I'm just by myself talking to a camera, so it's a bit sad in all honesty. But if you have enjoyed this video, I really do appreciate you for watching, and thank you so much. I just wanted to make these videos to express myself and explain a bit more about how I love football and my experience with sports. So if you have liked this video, I'd really appreciate a like, and if you could subscribe to the channel, I would also really appreciate that as well. So thank you so much for watching, and thank you.